Maya Chen walked through the glass doors of the marketing office on a Monday morning, carrying a leather bag and wearing confidence like armor. She was the new creative director, and everyone knew it. The whispers started before she even reached her desk. She looked like someone who had her life figured out, someone who didn't need anyone else. Ethan Morrison noticed her immediately. He was sitting at his desk halfway through his morning coffee when she passed by. There was something about the way she moved, purposeful but somehow guarded, that caught his attention. He'd been working at the company for 5 years, knew almost everyone, and could usually read people pretty well. But Maya? She was different. Their first official meeting happened in the conference room that afternoon. The team was gathering to discuss a major campaign for a tech client, one of the biggest accounts the firm had landed all year. Ethan was the senior account manager assigned to lead it, and Maya would be handling the creative direction. When she walked in and started presenting her ideas, the room went quiet. She wasn't just good at her job. She was exceptional. Her concepts were fresh, bold, and exactly what the client needed. Ethan found himself leaning forward, genuinely impressed. But more than that, he noticed how she commanded the space without being aggressive, how she listened to feedback without being defensive. After the meeting, he approached her near the coffee machine. "Those ideas were really solid," he said, trying to sound casual. "I think we're going to work well together." Maya looked at him with those dark, careful eyes. "Thanks, let's hope so." That's how it started. Just 2 professionals assigned to the same project. Nothing unusual about that. Except working with Maya wasn't like working with anyone else Ethan had known. She stayed late, often being the last person in the office. He'd find her at her desk at 8, 9, even 10 at night, perfecting designs that were already perfect. One evening, he brought her a sandwich from the deli downstairs. "You've been here for 12 hours, he said, placing it on her desk. "You need to eat." She looked surprised, like no one had done something that simple for her in a long time. "You didn't have to do that." "I know," he said. "But you looked focused, and I figured you'd forget." A small smile appeared on her face, barely there but real. "Thank you, Ethan." Those late nights became routine. They'd work side by side, sometimes in comfortable silence, sometimes talking about the project. Then the conversation started shifting. They'd finish discussing layouts and color schemes, and somehow end up talking about their favorite movies, about the best pizza place in Seattle, about whether morning people were actually real or just pretending. Ethan learned that Maya drank her coffee black, that she had a sharp sense of humor that caught him off guard, that she noticed small details most people missed. But whenever he asked anything too personal, she'd redirect. Where did she grow up? Different places. What brought her to Seattle? A job opportunity. Did she have family nearby? Not really. 3 weeks into working together, they were celebrating a preliminary pitch approval. The team went to a nearby bar, everyone excited and relieved. Maya came along, though Ethan noticed she stayed at the edge of the group, nursing a single drink while everyone else got louder and happier. He found her outside on the patio, looking at the city lights. "Not a fan of crowds?" he asked. "Something like that," she said. "I'm better one-on-one." "Me too, actually," Ethan admitted. They stood there in comfortable silence for a moment. Then he said, without overthinking it, "Would you want to grab dinner sometime?" "Not with the whole team, just us." Maya's expression changed immediately. The ease disappeared, replaced by something harder, more protective. She turned to face him directly. "Ethan, I need to tell you something." His stomach dropped a little. Here it comes, he thought. She's going to say she doesn't date coworkers, or she's seeing someone, or she's not interested. But what she said was different. "Don't fall for me." Her voice was quiet but firm. "I'm not someone you want to get close to. I'm not being modest or playing games. I mean it." Ethan didn't know what to say. He expected rejection, but not like this. Not with such certainty, such warning in her voice. "Why?" he asked simply. Maya looked away. "Because I'm not good at staying. I never have been. And people who get close to me end up disappointed or hurt. So I'm being honest with you now before anything starts." She finished her drink and went back inside, leaving Ethan standing there trying to understand what just happened. Most people would have just said no to dinner. But Maya gave him a warning, like she was trying to protect him from something. The strange thing was, her warning didn't push him away. If anything, it made him more curious. What had happened to make her so certain she couldn't be close to anyone? Why did she seem so convinced she'd hurt people just by letting them in? Over the next few weeks, Ethan tried to respect her boundaries. He didn't ask her to dinner again. He didn't push for personal information, but he also didn't pull away. He continued being himself, being friendly, being present. When she stayed late, he stayed late. When she needed help with something, he helped. When she made a joke, he laughed, and slowly, carefully, Maya started to relax around him again. The walls didn't come down completely, but they lowered just enough for him to see glimpses of who she really was. She told him she'd moved around a lot growing up, never staying in one school for more than a year or two. She mentioned loving old bookstores and rainy days. She admitted she didn't have any close friends in Seattle yet. Why not? Ethan asked one night while they were reviewing designs. I don't usually stay anywhere long enough to make them, she said simply, as if this was perfectly normal. How long have you been here? 4 months. And you're already planning to leave? Maya shrugged. I always have an exit plan. It's just how I operate. Ethan wanted to ask why, wanted to understand this pattern she seemed trapped in, but he held back. He was learning that Maya would share things in her own time, in small pieces, never all at once. The breakthrough came during the team celebration after they won the campaign pitch. The client had chosen their proposal over 2 competitors, and the entire office was buzzing with excitement. Someone ordered champagne. The boss gave a speech thanking everyone, especially praising Maya's creative vision and Ethan's client management. When Maya smiled during the toast, really smiled, not the polite half-smile she usually gave, but a genuine expression of happiness and pride, Ethan felt something shift in his chest. It was like seeing the sun come out after weeks of gray weather. She looked so different when she let herself feel joy, when she forgot to guard herself for just a moment. That's when he knew. Her warning had come too late. He was already falling for her, for the person she was trying so hard to hide, for the warmth she was afraid to show, and the scary part, he didn't want to stop. Winter came to Seattle the way it always did, with gray skies that seemed to press down on the city and rain that never quite stopped. The office felt darker in the mornings, and people started arriving with heavy coats and steaming coffee cups, complaining about the cold. But Ethan noticed that Maya seemed to fit better in winter. While everyone else hunched against the weather, she seemed almost comfortable in it, like the gray matched something inside her. She wore dark sweaters and spent even more time at her desk, working on new projects with an intensity that concerned him sometimes. He'd learned not to push. That was the key with Maya. The more he tried to get close, the more she'd retreat. So instead, he just existed in her space. He'd bring her coffee without asking if she wanted it. He'd stay late when she stayed late, not hovering, just being there. When she had a tough meeting, he'd defend her ideas without making a big deal of it afterward. Maya noticed. Of course she noticed. Ethan could see it in the way she'd glance at him sometimes, like she was trying to figure out what he wanted, waiting for him to ask for something in return. But he never did. One Monday, she came in looking tired, more tired than usual. Her phone kept buzzing on her desk, and each time it did, she'd glance at it with an expression Ethan couldn't quite read. Fear, anger, something else. You okay? He asked during their afternoon meeting. Fine, she said quickly. Too quickly. Just some spam calls, but the calls kept coming. By Wednesday, she'd stopped answering her phone altogether. By Friday, Ethan noticed she was making mistakes in her work, small things that weren't like her. A misspelled word in a presentation, a design element slightly off-center. Nothing major, but for someone as precise as Maya, it was concerning. He found her in the break room late that afternoon, staring at her phone like it might bite her. Maya, he said gently. She looked up, startled as if she'd forgotten anyone else was in the building. What's going on? Nothing. That's not true, she laughed, but it sounded hollow. Why do you care, Ethan? The question caught him off guard. Because we're friends. Because you're clearly dealing with something. Because you look like you haven't slept in 3 days. Maya set her phone down, and for a moment Ethan thought she might actually tell him. But then her walls went back up. I'm handling it. You don't have to handle everything alone. Yes, she said quietly. I do. The next week brought the first real snow of the season. Not much. Just enough to make the roads tricky and the city slow down. Maya's car broke down on her way home from work one evening. Ethan only knew because he got a text from her at 7, simple and direct. Car won't start. Calling a tow truck. He was out the door before he even thought about it. Found her in the parking garage, sitting in her dead car with the hood up, looking frustrated and cold. "Come on," he said. "I'll drive you home." "You don't have to do that. Maya, it's snowing and your car is broken. I'm not leaving you here." She argued for another minute, but eventually got in his car. Then the snow got worse. What should have been a 20-minute drive turned into an hour of crawling through white streets with terrible visibility. The radio announced that several roads were closing. "You should probably just stay at my place tonight," Ethan said, trying to sound casual. "The roads are getting dangerous and your apartment is on the other side of the city." Maya tensed immediately. "I can't do that. It's not like that," he said quickly. "I have a guest room. You can lock the door. I just don't think it's safe to keep driving." She was quiet for a long time, then almost too soft to hear. "Okay." Ethan's apartment was warm and lived in. That's what Maya noticed first when they walked in. Photos on the walls, books on shelves, a blanket draped over the couch. It looked like a home, not just a place someone slept. Her own apartment was bare with minimal furniture and nothing on the walls. She could pack everything she owned in a few hours. "I'll make some tea," Ethan said, hanging up their coats. "Are you hungry?" They ended up sitting on his couch with bowls of soup, watching the snow pile up outside. The TV was on, some old movie neither of them was really watching, and slowly Maya started to relax. Maybe it was the warmth or the exhaustion, or just being in a space that felt safe. But she started talking. She told him about growing up, never staying anywhere long, moving from city to city, school to school, never getting attached because what was the point? She told him about learning to pack quickly, to not accumulate things, to not make friends she'd just have to leave behind. "Why did you move so much?" Ethan asked. Maya's face changed. "My mom, she had issues. Mental health stuff, addiction. We'd be somewhere for a few months, maybe a year, and then something would happen. She'd lose a job or have an episode and we'd leave, sometimes in the middle of the night. That must have been really hard. It was normal for me. I didn't know anything else," she paused. "But it teaches you things. It teaches you that nothing lasts, that people leave, that home isn't a real thing. Do you still believe that?" Maya looked at him. "I don't know what else to believe." They talked until late. Ethan shared stories about his own family, about growing up in the same house his whole childhood, about knowing his neighbors and having friends since kindergarten. It was a completely different life, and Maya listened like he was describing another planet. Eventually, exhaustion caught up with her. She fell asleep on his couch mid-sentence, her teacup still in her hand. Ethan carefully took the cup and covered her with a blanket. He should have woken her up, told her to go to the guest room. But she looked peaceful for the first time since he'd known her. Around 3 a.m, he woke to a sound. Maya was having a nightmare, whimpering in her sleep, her face tight with distress. Without thinking, he knelt next to the couch and gently touched her shoulder. "Maya, wake up. You're dreaming." She woke with a gasp, disoriented and scared. For a moment, she didn't seem to know where she was. Then she saw Ethan's face and reality came back. "Sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry. Don't be. Are you okay?" She nodded, but tears were running down her face. And for the first time, she didn't try to hide them. She let Ethan sit with her, let him be there in that vulnerable moment. He didn't try to hug her or fix it. He just stayed close, present, until her breathing calmed. "Thank you," she said eventually. "For what?" "For not asking what the nightmare was about. For not making this weird. Maya, we all have bad dreams." She looked at him in the dim light. "You're a really good person, you know that? That's what scares me about you." "Why does that scare you?" "Because good people deserve better than what I can give them." The next morning, Maya was gone before Ethan woke up. She'd folded the blanket neatly and left a note. "Thank you for last night. I'm sorry for being a mess. The roads are clear. I called a ride. See you Monday." When Monday came, Maya was back to her professional self, polite, focused, guarded, like the breakthrough of Friday night had never happened. It frustrated Ethan, but he also understood. Maya had let him see something real, and now she needed to rebuild her walls to feel safe again. But something had changed between them, whether Maya wanted to admit it or not. She started accepting his coffee offerings without protest. She'd occasionally share small things about her day. Once she even laughed at one of his jokes so hard she had to leave the room to compose herself. They were becoming friends, real friends, despite her best efforts to prevent it. And that terrified Maya more than anything. Spring came slowly to Seattle. The rain continued, But it was warmer now, and occasionally the sun would break through the clouds for a few hours, reminding everyone that seasons actually changed. People in the office seemed happier, more energetic. There was talk of summer vacation plans and weekend hiking trips. Maya seemed more distant than ever. It started with the phone calls again. Her cell would ring, an unknown number, and she'd let it go to voicemail. Then another call would come. And another. Ethan watched her anxiety build with each ignored call. Her work started slipping again, and this time other people noticed. During a client presentation, she forgot to include a key slide. At a team meeting, she zoned out completely and had to ask someone to repeat a question. The boss pulled her aside one afternoon, and though Ethan couldn't hear the conversation, he could see Maya's face through the glass office wall. She looked like she wanted to disappear. He caught her in the parking garage that evening. "Maya, talk to me. What's going on?" She leaned against her car, looking exhausted. "It's my mom. She's calling. You don't have to answer if you don't want to." "I know. But she only calls when something's wrong, and ignoring her doesn't make it go away, it just makes the anxiety worse." "What happened between you two?" Maya was quiet for a long time. Then, like a dam breaking, everything came out. She told him about a childhood marked by chaos. Her mother's struggles with mental illness and substance use. The times Maya would come home from school to find their apartment empty, because her mom had disappeared for days. The times they'd have no food because her mother had spent their money on things they didn't need. She told him about learning to take care of herself at 8 years old. About calling herself in sick to school because there was no parent to do it. About the constant moves, sometimes to escape debt collectors, sometimes just because her mother got restless. "I left when I was 18, Maya said. "Got a scholarship, moved across the country for college, and barely looked back. I send her money sometimes, but I don't visit. I don't call. I built a whole life where she doesn't exist. And now she's calling again. Yeah. Which means something's wrong. An emergency, a crisis, money trouble. It's always something." Ethan could see the pain in her face. "Have you thought about answering?" "Just to know? That's how it starts," Maya said bitterly. "I answer once and suddenly I'm back in it. Her chaos becomes my chaos. Her problems become my problems. I've worked so hard to build stability for myself, Ethan. I can't let her destroy that." "You're not her, Maya." She looked at him sharply. "How do you know?" "I run from everything just like she did. I can't maintain relationships. I panic when things get stable. I'm more like her than I want to admit." "No," Ethan said firmly. "You're self-aware. You recognize patterns. You're trying to break them. That's completely different from someone who doesn't see the problem." Maya shook her head. "I warned you not to fall for me, remember? This is why. I'm damaged goods, Ethan. I come from chaos and I carry it with me everywhere. Everyone has family stuff. Not like this." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Maya said something that surprised him. "There's something else. I got a job offer. In New York, really good position, better pay, bigger company." Ethan felt his stomach drop. "When did this happen?" "The offer came 2 weeks ago. I've been thinking about it." "Are you going to take it?" "I don't know." She looked genuinely confused. "Usually I'd have already said yes. New city, fresh start, nobody knows me. It's what I do. But this time I'm hesitating and I don't know why." Ethan knew why. He could see it in her face, in the way she'd been letting her guard down bit by bit. But he didn't say it. Instead he asked, "Are you running from the job here or from something else?" Maya met his eyes. "I think you know the answer to that. Then why run at all?" "Because it's safer. Don't you get it? If I leave before things get serious, before people get close, then no one gets hurt. It's cleaner this way. Cleaner for who? For everyone." "That's not true and you know it," Ethan said, his voice rising slightly. "You think leaving protects people, but it doesn't. It just leaves them confused and hurt, wondering what they did wrong." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "What do you want from me, Ethan?" "I want you to stay. Not for me, for yourself. I want you to see that you deserve to have a life here, friends here, roots here. I want you to stop running. I don't know if I can. Then figure it out. But don't make the decision out of fear." Maya wiped her eyes. "I need to go." She got in her car and left, and Ethan stood there wondering if he'd pushed too hard, said too much. But someone had to tell her the truth. Someone had to show her that staying was possible. The next week was tense. Maya avoided him when she could, kept conversations strictly professional when she couldn't. Ethan gave her space, but it hurt. He realized how much he'd gotten used to their late-night conversations, her dry humor, the moments when she'd forget to guard herself. Then, on Friday afternoon, Maya's mother showed up at the office. Ethan was in a meeting when the receptionist came in looking confused. "There's a woman here asking for Maya Chen. She says she's her mother." Maya went pale. She excused herself and went to the lobby, and Ethan, concerned, followed at a distance. The woman standing in the lobby looked older than she probably was, worn down by life, but Ethan could see the resemblance. She had Maya's eyes. "Mom, what are you doing here?" Maya's voice was tight. "I needed to see you. You weren't answering my calls. How did you even find me?" "I have my ways." "Maya, I need help. I'm in trouble and I didn't know where else to go." Maya's whole body was tense. "We can't talk about this here. Let's go outside." Ethan watched them leave through the glass doors. He knew he should stay out of it, that this was Maya's private business. But something made him wait. 20 minutes later, Maya came back inside alone, looking shaken. "Are you okay?" he asked. "No, but I will be. I need to work." She went to her desk and buried herself in projects, but Ethan could see her hands shaking. Whatever that conversation was, it had rattled her deeply. That evening, she stayed late, later than usual. Everyone else had gone home. Ethan found her at her desk at 9 o'clock, staring at her computer screen without really seeing it. "Maya." She looked up. "I thought you left. I was about to. But I wanted to check on you first. I'm fine. You're not fine." And suddenly Maya wasn't fine at all. The carefully controlled facade cracked and tears started streaming down her face. Years of holding everything together, of being strong and independent and never needing anyone, all of it broke at once. Ethan pulled up a chair and sat next to her. He didn't try to hug her or comfort her. He just sat there while she cried, present and steady. When she could finally speak, the words tumbled out. "She's sick. Really sick this time. She needs money for treatment, a place to stay, someone to help her. And all I can think is that I don't want to. I don't want to be pulled back into her chaos. I don't want to be responsible for her again. What kind of person does that make me?" "A human one," Ethan said gently. "Maya, you're allowed to have boundaries, even with family, especially with family that's hurt you. But she's my mother. That doesn't mean you owe her everything." Maya looked at him. "She told me something today. She said she used to leave because she thought I deserved better than what she could give me, that she was trying to protect me by disappearing. And I realized I'm doing the same thing. I'm repeating her pattern, just with different people." "What do you mean?" "I leave people before they can leave me. I tell myself it's for their own good, that I'm protecting them from my mess. But really, I'm just scared. I'm terrified of being abandoned again, so I abandon first." It was the most honest Maya had ever been, the most vulnerable, and Ethan knew this moment mattered. "You don't have to keep doing that," he said. "You can break the pattern. I don't know how. By staying. By letting people in. By trusting that some people won't leave even when things get hard." Maya shook her head. "That's a nice idea, Ethan. But I'm still planning to take the New York job. I've already made up my mind." "Have you really? Or are you just running again?" She didn't answer, and in her silence, Ethan knew the truth. She wasn't leaving because of the job opportunity. She was leaving because staying meant facing everything she was afraid of. It meant facing him, facing what was growing between them, facing the possibility of building something real. "When do you leave?" he asked quietly. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It felt like no time at all. Maya threw herself into preparing for the move. She gave her notice at work. She found an apartment in Brooklyn through online listings. She started packing her things, which didn't take long since she owned so little. She was efficient, practiced, and everyone at the office assumed this was just another career move, another opportunity. Only Ethan knew the truth. He saw her at her desk, working harder than ever, staying later, taking on extra projects. She was running on adrenaline and avoidance. She was doing everything to not think about what leaving actually meant. They barely spoke during those 2 weeks. Maya made sure of it. She'd leave meetings right when they ended. She'd eat lunch at her desk. She'd arrive early and leave late, timing it so they wouldn't run into each other. It was like watching someone slowly disappear while still physically present. 3 days before her scheduled departure, the office threw a goodbye party for her. Small, nothing fancy. Cake in the break room, some nice words from the boss, a gift card to a bookstore. Maya smiled and thanked everyone and played the part perfectly. But Ethan could see the cracks. After everyone left, he found her on the office rooftop. It was a space people used for lunch breaks with a few chairs and a view of the city. Maya was standing at the railing, looking out at Seattle at sunset. "You did good in there," he said, joining her. Almost seemed happy. "I'm good at pretending." "I know." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Maya said, "I'm sorry, Ethan." "For what?" "For all of it. For pushing you away. For not being brave enough to stay. For being exactly who I warned you I'd be. You don't have to apologize for being scared." "I do, though, because you've been nothing but kind to me, and I'm repaying that by running away." Ethan turned to face her. "Is that really what you want? To leave?" Maya's voice cracked. "It doesn't matter what I want. It's the only thing that matters. You don't understand. I'm like her, Ethan. I'm like my mother. The chaos, the leaving, the inability to stay in one place. It's in my blood, and I can see it happening already. I'm getting close to people here. I'm starting to care. And that terrifies me because I know how it ends. I know I'll eventually hurt you, or you'll leave, or something will fall apart. It always does. What if it doesn't? That's not a risk I can take. But you're taking a bigger risk by leaving. You're guaranteeing the very abandonment you're afraid of." Maya shook her head. "I need to go, Ethan. I need to stick to what I know. Fresh start, new city, no attachments. It's worked for me this long. Has it, though? Has it really worked? Or have you just been surviving instead of living?" The question hung in the air. Maya didn't answer because she couldn't. They both knew the truth. That night, Maya went home to her mostly packed apartment. Boxes everywhere, her whole life ready to be loaded into a moving truck. She sat on the floor surrounded by the evidence of her escape and felt completely empty. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. "Thank you for helping me get into treatment. I know I don't deserve it. I'm going to try to get better this time." Maya had made arrangements for her mother, not because she'd forgiven everything, not because they'd suddenly have a perfect relationship, but because it was the right thing to do. She'd set boundaries, made it clear what she could and couldn't provide, and her mother had actually listened. For the first time ever, her mother had respected her limits. Another text came in, this time from Ethan. "When you're ready to stop running, I'm here. Simple, direct, no pressure, no guilt. Just an open door." Maya stared at those words for a long time. Then she did something she hadn't done in years. She let herself imagine staying. Really staying. Not just existing in Seattle, but building a life here. Having friends who knew her. Showing up to things. Being part of something. Maybe even being with someone who actually saw her. All of her, and didn't look away. The thought was terrifying. But for the first time, it was also appealing. She spent the next day in a fog, going through the motions of her last days at work. Everyone wished her well. Someone asked for her new address in New York. She gave vague answers, feeling more disconnected with every hour that passed. That evening, Maya sat in her empty apartment and made a list. 2 columns. Reasons to go. Reasons to stay. The reasons to go were familiar. Safety, control, a fresh start, avoiding pain, sticking to what she knew. All the things that had guided her decisions for years. The reasons to stay were different. Therapy to work on her patterns. Friends who cared. A job she actually enjoyed. A city she was starting to love, and Ethan. Most of all, Ethan. The possibility of something real with someone who'd seen her at her worst and hadn't walked away. Maya realized something sitting there on her floor. Her mother used to say she left to protect Maya, but that protection had caused more damage than any imperfect presence would have. And now Maya was doing the same thing. She was leaving to protect Ethan, to protect herself, but really she was just causing the very hurt she was trying to avoid. The pattern had to break somewhere, with someone. Maybe that someone could be her. At midnight, with 2 days left before her scheduled move, Maya made a decision. She opened her laptop and started writing an email. Not to her new job. To a therapist she'd been researching. Someone who specialized in attachment issues and family trauma. She made an appointment for the following week. Then she opened another email. This one to the New York company, declining their offer. Her hands shook as she typed it. This went against every instinct she had, but she hit send before she could change her mind. Finally, she opened a text to Ethan, wrote and deleted 5 different messages before settling on, "Can we talk?" He responded immediately, even though it was late. "Tomorrow, coffee, 9 a.m. Maya didn't sleep that night. She paced her apartment, second-guessing everything. fighting the urge to undo all the decisions she'd just made. By morning, she'd convinced herself she was making a huge mistake. But she got dressed anyway, left her apartment anyway, went to the coffee shop anyway. Ethan was already there, looking tired, like maybe he hadn't slept much either. Maya sat down across from him. "I'm not going to New York." He didn't react with joy or relief, just studied her face. "Why not?" "Because you're right. I'm running. And I'm tired of running. I'm tired of being scared all the time. I'm tired of pushing people away and telling myself it's for their own good. So you're staying." "I'm trying to stay. I can't promise I won't freak out or have moments where I want to run again. I can't promise this will be easy. But I'm willing to try." Ethan reached across the table and took her hand. It was the first time they'd really touched, and Maya almost pulled away out of habit. But she didn't. She let him hold her hand, let herself feel that connection. "I'm not asking for promises," he said. "I'm just asking for honesty and effort." "Can you do that?" "I think so, I hope so. I'm starting therapy next week, and I talked to my boss about staying on. He was happy about it. And I'm going to try to be present, really present, instead of always having one foot out the door." "What about us?" Ethan asked gently. Maya took a breath. "I want there to be an us, but I need to go slow. I need to learn how to do this without panicking. I can do slow. Even though I warned you not to fall for me." Ethan smiled. "That warning came way too late. I fell for you the first time you stayed at the office until midnight, perfecting a design that was already perfect. I fell for you when you told me not to fall for you because you were trying to protect me. I fell for you every time you let your guard down for 2 seconds before putting it back up." Tears ran down Maya's face, but this time they weren't from fear. "I'm going to mess this up, probably. I'll mess it up too sometimes. That's how relationships work. I don't know how relationships work. I've never let one get far enough to find out. Then we'll figure it out together." Maya squeezed his hand. "Okay, together." For the first time in her life, the word together didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like a possibility. The first few weeks were harder than Maya expected. She'd canceled her move to New York, unpacked her boxes, and recommitted to her job in Seattle. On paper, she'd made the decision to stay. But emotionally, every day was a battle with her instincts. She'd wake up some mornings with her heart racing, feeling trapped, fighting the urge to pack a bag and leave before anyone noticed. She'd sit at her desk and mentally calculate how quickly she could extract herself from her lease, her job, her life. The exits were always there in her mind, mapped out and ready, but she didn't run. Instead, she went to therapy every week. Her therapist, Dr. Park, was patient and direct in equal measure. She didn't let Maya off easy. "You've built your entire adult life around avoiding abandonment," Dr. Park said during their third session. "But in doing so, you've guaranteed that you'll always be alone. You're abandoning yourself." That hit hard. Maya had never thought of it that way. She'd always framed her leaving as self-protection. But really, she was just repeating the same pattern her mother had, just ensuring that she'd never have to risk being vulnerable with anyone. "So what do I do?" Maya asked. "You stay, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when every instinct tells you to run. You stay, and you feel the discomfort, and you discover that it won't kill you." Easier said than done, but Maya tried. She started saying yes to things she'd normally avoid. When coworkers invited her to happy hour, she went. When a neighbor asked if she wanted to join a book club, she agreed. Small things, but for Maya, they were huge. And Ethan. Being with Ethan required a completely different level of vulnerability. They started dating officially, though Maya hated that word at first. Dating implied permanence, expectations, a future, all the things that terrified her. Their first real date was simple. Dinner at a quiet restaurant, then a walk along the waterfront. Ethan didn't push for anything physical. He just talked with her, laughed with her, existed beside her in a way that felt comfortable and terrifying at the same time. "This is weird for me," Maya admitted as they walked. "Being on a date. Doing this like a normal person. What's weird about it? I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. For you to realize I'm too much work and leave. Or for me to panic and ruin this. What if neither of those things happens? I don't know. I've never gotten that far before." Ethan stopped walking and faced her. "Maya, I need you to understand something. I'm not going anywhere. Not when you have a bad day. Not when you panic. Not when you push me away because you're scared. I'm staying. That's what people do when they care about someone. Maya felt tears forming. How are you so sure? Because I know what I want. And I want this with you. Even with all the complicated parts. Maybe especially because of them. That night, when Ethan walked Maya to her door, she kissed him. It was the first time and it felt like jumping off a cliff. But he caught her, held her, and for a moment Maya forgot to be afraid. 3 months into their relationship, Maya had her first major panic attack. They were at Ethan's family's house for Sunday dinner. His parents, his sister, her kids, everyone gathering around a big table like something from a TV show. They were warm and welcoming, asking Maya about her work and her life, trying to make her feel included. And Maya felt like she was suffocating. All these people, all this normalcy, all this expectation of permanence and connection. She excused herself to the bathroom and sat on the closed toilet lid, trying to breathe, feeling like the walls were closing in. Ethan found her 20 minutes later. He knocked gently. Maya, you okay? No, I need to leave. I need to get out of here. Okay, let's go. He didn't ask questions, didn't make her explain to his family. He just got their coats and drove her home. In the car, Maya couldn't stop crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I ruined dinner. You didn't ruin anything. Your family must think I'm crazy. They think you're overwhelmed, which you are. It's okay. It's not okay. Normal people don't have panic attacks at family dinners. Ethan pulled over. Maya, look at me. You're not broken. You're someone who went through really difficult things and developed coping mechanisms to survive. Those mechanisms helped you then, but they don't serve you now. That's all this is. You're not crazy or wrong or too much. You're just learning a new way to be. Maya wanted to believe him. Some days she could. Other days the old voices in her head were too loud. The voice that said she was like her mother, damaged beyond repair, destined to hurt everyone who got close. But she kept showing up. That was the key, Dr. Park kept telling her. Just keep showing up, even imperfectly, even scared. Progress wasn't linear. Some days Maya felt strong and capable. Other days she felt like she was barely holding it together. Both were okay. 6 months in, something shifted. Maya realized she'd been in Seattle for over a year. The longest she'd stayed anywhere as an adult. And she wasn't miserable. She wasn't planning her escape. She'd built something resembling a life. She had friends who texted her on weekends. She had a therapist she trusted. She had Ethan, who knew all her messy parts and hadn't left. One evening, Ethan asked her to move in with him. They were at her apartment, which she'd finally decorated beyond the bare minimum. Photos on the walls now, plants that she kept alive, books on shelves. Evidence of staying. Move in with you? Maya repeated, her heart immediately racing. Only if you want to. No pressure. I just thought, we're together most nights anyway, and your lease is up next month. It would make sense. It did make sense, logically, but logic wasn't Maya's problem. Fear was. Can I think about it? She asked. Of course. Maya thought about it for 2 weeks. She made lists. She talked to Dr. Park. She imagined saying yes and imagined saying no and tried to figure out which scared her more. Finally, she realized they both scared her. But one came with the possibility of growth and one came with guaranteed stagnation. She said yes. Moving in together was its own challenge. Maya had to resist the urge to keep everything in boxes, to maintain the ability to leave quickly. Ethan was patient, giving her space when she needed it, showing her that sharing space didn't mean losing herself. They established routines. Morning coffee together, Friday night dinners, Sunday farmers market trips, small, normal things that built a life together. And slowly, Maya started to believe that maybe she could have this. Maybe she wasn't her mother. Maybe the pattern could break. But breaking patterns isn't clean or easy. 9 months into living together, Maya and Ethan had their first real fight. Something small about dishes and household chores, but it escalated. Voices were raised. Feelings were hurt. And Maya's first instinct was to pack a bag. She actually did it. Threw clothes in a backpack, grabbed her laptop, and headed for the door. Ethan found her in the hallway. Where are you going? He asked. I don't know, away, this isn't working. Maya, we had a fight. That's normal. That doesn't mean we're over. How do you know? How do you know this won't be the thing that breaks us? I don't know. But I know running won't fix it. Maya stood there with her bag trembling, every instinct screaming at her to leave. But she thought about Dr. Park's words. Stay, feel the discomfort. Discover it won't kill you. She put the bag down. I don't know how to fight and stay. In my family, fights meant someone was leaving. In my family, fights meant we'd be grumpy for a day and then work it out. Different experiences, Maya. But we can create our own pattern. They talked through the night. Really talked about the fight and the fear and what they both needed. It wasn't pretty or perfect, but they stayed. Both of them stayed. And the next morning, they were still together. The fight hadn't destroyed anything. If anything, working through it made them stronger. That's when Maya finally understood. Staying didn't mean nothing bad would happen. It meant facing the bad things together instead of running from them alone. It meant trusting that connection could survive imperfection. A year after she'd almost moved to New York, Maya did something she never thought she'd do. She put photos on her desk at work. Her and Ethan. Her and her book club friends. Her apartment, the one she decorated and made into a home. Evidence of a life built, roots growing, staying. One evening, Ethan found her looking at those photos with an expression he couldn't quite read. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah. I was just thinking about something you said once. You said my warning came too late, that you'd already fallen for me." "I remember." Maya turned to face him. "I think my warning came too late for me, too. I'd already started falling for this life before I even knew it. I was trying to run from something that had already happened. And now? Now I'm not running. I'm scared sometimes. I still have days where I want to pack everything and start over somewhere new. But I don't do it. Because this is worth staying for. You're worth staying for. I'm worth staying for." Ethan pulled her close. "You know what? I'm proud of you." "For what?" "For staying. For doing the hard work. For being brave enough to build something instead of always tearing it down before it starts." Maya rested her head against his chest. She could hear his heartbeat steady and sure. A year ago, this kind of closeness would have sent her running. Now it felt like home. She thought about her mother, currently 6 months sober and working on her own recovery. They weren't close, might never be, but they were talking occasionally. Her mother had said something during their last call that stuck with Maya. "I'm sorry I